What if love wasn't shown through words, but through building something with your own hands? In today's heartwarming story, Officer Lee decides to surprise Sam by building her dream kitchen, a symbol of love, warmth, and their future together. With the help of his loyal colleagues, Thwan and Duke, they turn an empty room into a place filled with laughter, teamwork, and friendship. But the story doesn't end there. It's just the beginning of a new chapter in Lee and Sam's life. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional and inspiring stories like this one. It was a quiet Sunday morning when Officer Lee decided that today would be the day he finally fulfilled his promise to Sam, to build her the kitchen she had always dreamed of. For months, Sam had talked about having a cozy, sunlit space where she could cook hearty meals and fill the home with the scent of freshly baked bread. Lee, though strong and brave in the field as a police officer, knew he was not exactly the most skilled when it came to hammers and nails. Yet, he was determined to make it happen. This was not just about a kitchen. It was about love, effort, and the future they were quietly building together. Realizing he couldn't do it alone, Lee picked up his phone and called his two trusted colleagues, Thwan and Duke. They had been through years of duty together, facing danger side by side, and if there were anyone he could count on, it was them. "I need your help, brothers," Lee said with a chuckle. "Not a crime scene this time, something even more important. I'm building a kitchen for Sam." On the other end of the line, both men laughed heartily, instantly agreeing to come over. They knew how much Sam meant to Lee, and the thought of helping him create a place that symbolized love and warmth made them feel genuinely happy. When Thwan and Duke arrived, the small house was already alive with morning light. Sam greeted them with her gentle smile and a tray of freshly brewed coffee. Rolls of wallpaper lay against the wall, paint cans stood open, and the scent of new wood filled the air. Lee had already drawn up a simple plan, one that included a wide countertop, open shelves, and a small corner where Sam could grow herbs. "We'll make it perfect," Lee said, his eyes gleaming with determination. The men set to work almost immediately. Thwan began measuring the walls while Duck prepared the tools. The sound of hammers and laughter blended into a rhythm that filled the room with life. Sam stood nearby, watching the three men work together, her heart swelling with gratitude. She could see the care in every action, the way Lee carefully handled each plank, how Thwan checked every measurement twice, and how Duck, ever meticulous, adjusted each screw as if he were handling something precious. Outside, the sunlight filtered through the curtains, painting soft golden patterns on the floor. Inside, the once empty space slowly began to transform into something beautiful, something meaningful. It wasn't just a kitchen being built, it was a dream taking shape. And as Lee looked up, wiping the sweat from his forehead, he caught Sam's gaze. She smiled, and in that moment, he knew every drop of effort was worth it, because this kitchen, this dream, was the foundation of their future together. The following days unfolded in a blur of energy, laughter, and teamwork. Every morning, the sound of hammers, drills, and cheerful banter echoed through the house as Lee, Thwan, and Duke continued working on the kitchen. Sam, always nearby, brought them snacks and cold drinks, her eyes lighting up each time she saw another piece of the kitchen fall into place. What once was a dull, empty room was now alive, filled with sawdust, the scent of fresh paint, and the warmth of friendship. Thwan proved to be surprisingly skillful. With steady hands and a keen eye, he installed the new stove and the ventilation system. making sure every pipe fit perfectly. Duck, meticulous as ever, handled the wiring and checked the water lines again and again, ensuring the kitchen would be safe and reliable. Meanwhile, Lee, usually the commanding officer on a mission, found himself learning how to mix cement, fix tiles, and even assemble cabinets. The once fearless policeman fumbled with screws and laughed at his own mistakes while his friends teased him affectionately. "You arrest criminals faster than you can drill a hole," Duck joked, and everyone burst out laughing, their voices blending with the rhythm of construction. Sam added her gentle touch to everything. When the men paused for a break, she would walk around the room, choosing the color palette for the walls, placing tiny decorative jars she'd been saving for months, and measuring the spot where she'd soon set her favorite potted herbs. Her presence made the air lighter, her laughter melting away the exhaustion from the day's labor. Every time she thanked them, her voice carried genuine warmth, and Lee couldn't help but feel proud, not just of the kitchen, but of the home they were creating together. One afternoon, as the final shelves were mounted, sunlight streamed through the wide window, illuminating the newly installed white tiles. The light bounced softly off the countertops, and for a moment the room seemed to glow. Tuan leaned against the wall, wiping the sweat from his brow. "It's beautiful," he murmured. Duck nodded in agreement, running a hand over the smooth wooden counter. "It feels like a place where stories will begin," he said with a grin. Lee stood there silently, taking it all in. The kitchen was no longer a collection of tools and materials. It had become something alive, something filled with love and care. He looked over at Sam, who was gently arranging a vase of white lilies on the table. Her hair caught the golden light, her eyes filled with quiet joy. In that instant, Lee realized this was more than just a renovation. It was a promise of shared meals, laughter, and the life they were building together, piece by piece, hand in hand. When they finally stepped back to admire their work, the room stood proudly before them, simple yet elegant, warm yet strong, much like the bond that had built it. By the evening of the 7th day, the kitchen stood complete, polished, bright, and full of life. The scent of freshly painted wood still lingered faintly in the air, blending with the aroma of the tea Sam had just brewed. Soft sunlight filtered through the window, glinting off the silver handles and warm oak shelves. Lee stood in the center of the room, hands in his pockets, gazing quietly at the transformation. This was once just an idea, a plan scribbled on a scrap of paper, but now it was real, tangible proof of love, teamwork, and shared dreams. Sam walked over, her steps light, her eyes shimmering with pride. "It's perfect," she whispered, tracing her fingers along the countertop. Her reflection glowed faintly in the polished marble surface. "You did all this for me?" she asked, half teasing, half in awe. Lee chuckled, shaking his head gently. "Not just for you, for us. This will be where our family begins, where every morning starts and every evening ends." His words carried a warmth that filled the room, stronger than any sunlight. Sam smiled, her eyes glistening as she leaned gently into his shoulder. At that moment, Tuan and Duck walked back in from the yard, still covered in a bit of sawdust, laughing about something only the two of them seemed to understand. When they saw Lee and Sam standing together, they paused, both smiling knowingly. "Looks like our mission was a success," Tuan said, his tone light but full of satisfaction. "Mission accomplished," Duck added with a mock salute, making everyone burst into laughter. The house, once quiet and echoing with work, now vibrated with joy. Lee turned to them, his expression sincere. I can't thank you both enough. You didn't just help build a kitchen, you helped build a home. Thwan waved a hand dismissively, though a hint of pride showed in his grin. Come on, Captain. You do the same for us. Duck nodded in agreement, his eyes soft. Besides, it's not every day we get to be part of something this meaningful. As the laughter faded into a comfortable silence, Lee cleared his throat, glancing at Sam, who gave him a playful nod of encouragement. Actually, he began, Sam and I were talking, and we'd love for you both to come back tomorrow. We're hosting a little dinner, a celebration for this kitchen's first meal. Thwan raised an eyebrow. Dinner cooked by Sam? How could we ever say no? Duck laughed heartily. I'll even bring dessert. The four of them stood there, smiling beneath the warm, golden glow of the kitchen lights. Outside, dusk had begun to fall, painting the sky in soft pink and amber. Inside, everything felt complete. The laughter, the friendship, the quiet love that filled every corner of the room. It wasn't just a new kitchen anymore. It was a symbol of beginnings, of family, and of the beautiful, ordinary happiness they would share for years to come.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Lý Tử Sam Review. Rất vui vì ngày hôm nay lại được gặp lại các bạn trong tập phim ngày hôm nay. Trong tập phim ngày hôm nay của chúng ta thì cảnh sát Ni đã nhờ Thuận và Đức là đồng nghiệp của anh đến xây dựng căn bếp cho Sam, và thật là vui mừng khi căn bếp của Lý Tử Sam ngày hôm nay đã hoàn thiện và đi vào hoạt động. Điều đó khiến cho Sam cảm thấy rất là hạnh phúc, và cô muốn mời Đức và Thuận và Ly ở lại ăn một bữa cơm nhân dịp tân niên cái bếp mới của Sam. Mọi tình tiết hấp dẫn về Lý Tử Sam và cảnh sát Nhi sẽ được kể ở các câu chuyện tiếp theo. Các bạn hãy bấm vào nút đăng ký kênh subscribe ở dưới video để nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các tập phim sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh nha. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại. Bye bye.